Hello folks, welcome to another episode on my channel. The coin that we're featuring today is my 1925 San Francisco Diamond Jubilee commemorative $50. Beautiful, nice, original California Diamond Jubilee. Love this coin. The design is just very, very American and patriotic in many ways as well. So that's the coin that we're featuring today. I want to discuss the history of this coin with you, the beauty, design, the specs, and then you let me know what you think about this beautiful coin, because this is definitely one of my favorites, at least in the top 10 of the early commemorative $50 from our nation. Let's get started. The 1925 California Diamond Jubilee $50 is one of the collector's favorite among early commemorative coins. The issue was authorized to mark the 75th anniversary of the California's statehood and featured an imagery recalling the famous gold rush. Beautiful man there panning the gold. Beautiful obverse design there. The obverse of this coin features a kneeling figure of a 49er as he pans for gold. Inscriptions include Liberty, In God We Trust, California Diamond Jubilee, and 1925. The reverse is the image of a grizzly bear, which comes from the state emblem of California. The inscriptions on the reverse are E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, and $50. Both the obverse and reverse of this half were designed by sculptor Joseph Mora. Many of you know Joseph Mora through United States Numismatics. Authorization was provided to strike up to 300,000 of these pieces. Production took place at the San Francisco Mint, where 150,000 coins were produced. Distribution was handled by the San Francisco Citizens Committee with an issuance price of $1 per coin, which has become standard for commemorative $50 issues. Coins which remained unsold were returned to the mint for melting, resulting in a net distribution of just 86,594. I pulled this information from my 2012 Red Book, and it is very relevant also and fits in with this coin. The California $50 was designed by Joe Mora, a noted California sculptor. The obverse bears a kneeling figure of a 49er, the reverse a walking grizzly bear. The celebration for which these coins were struck marks the 75th anniversary of the admission of California into the Union. I love the relief on this coin especially. Also, like some other issues, kind of sort of metallic-like, but still much more coin-like than some others that we've portrayed on the channel. But this is a nice, beautiful, authentic, rustic, low mint state California Diamond Jubilee from our beloved San Francisco Mint. And everybody involved did a beautiful, beautiful job. Let's talk about the beautiful specs of this $50. Has a face value of 50 cents. The mass is 12.5 grams. The diameter is 30.61 millimeters. The composition is 90% silver. The actual assayed silver weight is 0.36, which is irrelevant because this is a numismatic, especially in the technical grade, in the condition that it's in. This is a beautiful numismatic coin. Minted for only 1 year. Thank goodness. Thank you, 1925 San Francisco, for doing only 1 year. For those of us that are doing this set in a type set, this is pulled from my Dansco, from my early commemoratives. So we're thankful as numismatists that they did this for only 1 year. And the obverse is a 49er panning for gold. I love it. It's very American. Not really necessarily patriotic. Yeah, I will say patriotic for simplicity's sake, for beauty's sake, for fairness, but it's more of a coin that is very American. You know, you see that 49er and that grizzly bear, and it just it takes you back to the West, even though it's not really a coin, you know, from the old West, you know, as they say, like the cowboys and Indians and what have you. But it's a very warm, sentimental Americana coin is maybe the best way that I can think of describing this beautiful coin. The committee wanted to commemorate the coin as a fundraiser for the celebration of the statehood Diamond Jubilee. A California congressman attached authorization for it from another coinage bill, which was approved by Congress in early 1925. Designs by sculptor Joseph Mora met a hostile reception at the Committee of Fine Arts, but the Citizens Committee would not change them, and they were approved. The coin has been widely praised for its beauty in the years since. The coins were struck in August of 1925 at the San Francisco Mint and were sold the following month. They did not sell as well as hoped. Only about 150,000 of the authorized mintage of 300,000 were struck, and of that, nearly half were unsold and then melted. The coin is cataloged between 200 and 1,300. Though exceptional specimens have sold for more. The background is also very, very important, because understanding the background gives us an idea of what the designer, the sculptor, Joe Mora, was going through his mind when he read through the history of the beautiful state of California, its gold rush, its history, and what have you, as a very important state in our nation. The land that is now the state of California was first visited by Europeans when Spanish explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo visited there in 1542. His report to the Spanish crown garnered little interest, and it was not until the English seaman Sir Francis Drake touched there in 1579 that the Spanish were moved to colonize the area. Nevertheless, over the next 275 years, California saw few settlers, mostly around the chain of missions that were founded there, both under the Spanish and subsequently under Mexican rule. According to numismatic author Arne Slabog, the coming of American settlers brought two changes to California that continue to this day. This is important. Immigrants, both foreign and American, and activity. In 1846, American settlers revolted against Mexican rule, founding the Bear Flag Republic. Its flag featured a grizzly bear. The republic proved short-lived. The Mexican-American War had begun, and California was occupied by U.S. forces. A week before the Treaty of Guadalupe, Hidalgo was signed in January of 1848. Gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill by James W. Marshall. The California Gold Rush followed, as did statehood for California in 1850. So this gives us a much more appreciative background and understanding on the beauty of this coin. And this is where the designer and sculptor got the inspiration. Beautiful reeded coin, as I said, 90% silver. Not really a key coin in any stretch of the imagination, but still a very recognized and important coin in the early commemorative halves, in the early commemorative series, because of its sheer beauty. Many numismatists like me, this is one of our favorites, yet we know that it's not considered a key or a semi-key, for that matter, in any stretch of the imagination. But its beauty And like I said, it's rustic Americana, sentimental, warm design that makes this numismatist very proud to own an uncirculated example. Representing reminds me of the reverse of the buffalo nickel, of the mound that the bison is standing on. Very, very artistic, very sentimental, the way that the United States of America is encaptured there. Just a sheer beautiful, sentimental coin. I went through all these. I apologize for the slight repetition that I might bring. You can all capture this information. I will put all my references in the description box. And this is where I hinted on how the reverse looks very much, reminds me of the reverse of our buffalo nickel. And the buffalo nickel has been portrayed, I believe, on my channel, so you're welcome to search for those videos on my channel and watch that. But let's capture this, because James Earl Fraser did our buffalo nickel. The sketches and the letter were forwarded to the Commission of Fine Arts, charged since 1921 with making recommendations on coinage design, and then its sculpture member, James Earl Fraser, designer of the buffalo nickel. Fraser wrote to Rossi on May 18, depreciating the designs. The bear is entirely too short, and the whole thing inexperienced and amateurish. He recommended that Chester Beach, credited with the design of the 1923 Monroe Doctrine, which we can also talk about, which is also a fairly important early commem, or Robert Aitken, who had created the 1915 Panama Pacific, very important coin, that we bring those in, as both were from California and might create something which would be far more interesting and with a bigger sense of what California really is. Despite what Fraser recommended, the Citizens Committee stayed with Mora. I'm very thankful that they did, and quickly turned out the finished sketches. Anthony Switek, which I've talked about on my channel, and Walter Breen, a very important numismatist, in their volume of U.S. coinage commemorative coins, suggested that the Citizens Committee did not hire Beach or Aitken due to their lack of time and unwillingness to pay their large fees. So that tells you there that also money and budgeting, finances were taken into major consideration. The finished models were sent to the Philadelphia Mint on June 17 and were forwarded to the commission. By this time, Fraser was no longer even a member of the commission, and they were sent to Loretta Taft along with a note from that the Citizens Committee had not hired Aitken due to the expense, and that the new designs were little better than the old. However, both Taft and another member, Louis Ayres, recommended acceptance. Ayres did suggest that the "In God We Trust" be placed in some position where it does not seem as if the 49ers were frying it in oil. Numismatic historian Don Taxi averred that this advice was not followed due to the lack of the alternative position into which to place the motto. And that's also very, very important. You want to make sure that the wording, the motto, the name of our nation, United States of America, is beautifully represented. And back then, we had pride in our coins and how we designed them, right? It's a totally different world, unfortunately, today versus, back in the day when our designers and sculptors and the committees back then even took a much more serious approach and said, you know what, this is an important coin Yes, it's only a commemorative coin, but hey, when I say commemorative, I'm not slamming it. We need to take this seriously and really put our heart and soul into the design and the placement of the phrasing, the lettering, if you will, the motto. Somewhat of a high relief, if you will, because of the coin being an ankh, and fact that not many circulated. Yet it is expensive and fairly difficult to obtain. The high grades. You probably have to go to an A&A show or a Whitman show. Maybe, I'm sure, a decent state show like Central States. One of the dealers there would probably have a much higher grade. But this is just a standard, average ankh, circulated, uncirculated coin. I'm gonna hold on to her for sure. This is our brother Q. David Bowers. Q. David Bowers. Sorry, Mr. Bowers. Wonderful Jedi. So. And the very first few that were struck were given to the Memorial Museum in Golden Gate Park. So that's the coin that I have for you, beautiful people, today on this Monday. Hope all of you had a beautiful weekend. The temperatures are coming down throughout our country, which we're getting some relief from the extreme heat and humidity. Hope you all enjoyed this coin. Going on this journey with the with the California Diamond Jubilee. Let me know what you think, as I love this coin. It is definitely in my top 10. Not necessarily one of my favorites, but easily goes into the top 10, in my opinion, on importance as an early commemorative coin. So, let me know what you think in the comment section below. In the meantime, I do thank you for watching. Be kind to each other. Take care of each other. And most importantly, may God bless you all. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.